Pullman, Moscow, and beyond with Jordan Vorderbruggen, a podcast where we get to know interesting people here on the Palouse.
Welcome to the Pullman, Moscow, and Beyond podcast. My hope is to spotlight some of the most interesting people here on the Palouse, as well as some folks I've gotten to know from beyond our area. In this episode, we sit down with Megan Viney, the recreation manager for the city of Pullman, to talk about her journey from WSU alumni to long-term local resident and all things Pullman recreation. What brought you to Pullman?
I came to Pullman 30-some years ago, 1994, to attend WSU. I followed in my brother's footsteps to be the farthest away from my parents that I could be and still stay in the state of Washington.
Okay.
So came to Pullman to attend WSU and essentially never left.
Okay. So where did you grow up then?
I grew up in a small town in Western Washington, actually Southwest Washington, Willamette, Washington. It's right on the Columbia River. It's between Longview and, say, Long Beach on the Washington side.
Okay. So it's on the Columbia River or like closer to the coast or?
Yep. Literally like an hour north of Portland and an hour from the ocean, from Long Beach. Yep.
Oh, nice. And so did you have a connection? Did your family have a connection to Washington State or anything like that? Or what made you want to come to school?
The only connection was that my brother went here. There was a few people that I went to school with that my senior class that were interested in going here. UW was definitely out of the question in my world. I thought about Eastern. I actually got a scholarship to run track at Pacific Lutheran in Tacoma and ended up deciding that I didn't want to have that as my job and I wanted to be just a true college student. WSU it was.
And you decided to stay?
Yes, I met my current husband while I was a student here. We met in the summer and when I was home for one of my summer jobs working for Longview Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting married my senior year between semesters. And then we decided to stay after I graduated. I finished my internship actually with the City of Pullman Parks and Recreation. And he was substitute teaching and coaching with Pullman schools. And so we just kept staying.
Yeah. And is he from the area or?
He's actually from the west side also. He's from a small town of Toutle, Washington.
Okay. So you both decided, you're both from small towns, more rural, but you decided this was the place to be.
Yeah, we fell in love with Pullman. I feel so many other people say big city amenities in a small town atmosphere. I loved working for the city at the time when I was working in college and a brief stint outside of college. I still worked for Parks and Recreation and we just fell in love. Clark was working for Pullman schools and coaching and felt like every school year it was like, oh, are we going to move when our apartment lease was up in July, August? And then we'd be like, no, let's sign on for another year and another year and another year. And we're still here.
Yeah. And did both your kids go to school here?
Yes, both my kids actually went to school in Colton. So after about 5 years of owning a house in Pullman, we moved to Colton. So both our kids graduated from Colton schools.
Okay. And then did they go to college here also?
They did. That was not on their original bingo card, was to go here. My son initially wanted to go to the University of Hawaii at Hilo to explore the world of biology and wildlife stuff. And then our daughter actually wanted to go to ASU so bad. We toured there and she was like, whoa, this is really big. So they both decided WSU was their place. And both of them are so glad that was the decision they made. They had the most amazing time there, found their niche, their people.
Absolutely. Are they still local then?
Neither of them are. Our son lives in Western Washington, actually in Longview, Washington. He works for the state for Department of Natural Resources. He is a forester there. And our daughter is in Flagstaff, Arizona, attending Northern Arizona University. I'm going to graduate school in organizational leadership and working for NAU athletics.
Very cool. So she did make it to Arizona.
She did make it to Arizona.
Different part of Arizona.
Yes, absolutely.
Different vibe for sure.
Yep.
And then your husband is an award-winning coach, right? He holds a record for the most consecutive state titles, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so talk a little bit about how that went.
Yeah, he started out in Colton coaching boys basketball and was assistant football and was baseball. And then after a couple of years, I can't even remember how many years of coaching boys, the girls' job came open and he switched to that. And when he did switch, all the girls that he coached in high school were all in youth basketball. Saturday morning youth basketball program is
Yeah.
really big in Whitman County, small towns, starting at the age of second grade. And so he really loved that. It was small, the ability to work with all the parents who are coaching and start working with the boys and girls at a really young age. Started with girls, and his first season, they made it to playoffs to district, and they hadn't made it in a few years. And that really just steamrolled the system and got everybody bought in to winning. The next year, they placed third at state. The next year, they placed second, losing to Garfield Palouse in state title. Then the next year, they won it all and won 10 consecutive titles.
That's crazy. Not to take away from his coaching ability, but do you think it was just like a lucky group of girls in a way that you had some really athletically forward girls in a row, or what caused that streak?
I think it's a perfect combination. They started winning. They had parents that bought into helping coach. They started running the same offenses and defenses and philosophies and schemes in third grade. So by the time they were in junior high and high school, they're running the same offense. They're familiar with that. Then, as it is, when one team achieves success, it builds to the next year, and the next group says, I don't want to lose. I don't want to let this team down.
Yeah.
And not only 15 plus years of coaching girls basketball, but those same athletes then also were successful in volleyball, successful in softball. I think they won 6 state titles in softball over those same periods of time. So some of those girls that went through high school won 4 state basketball titles. They won 4 straight softball titles, and they were in state volleyball as well.
That's amazing. Just like a small town powerhouse. So you guys are an athletic family. Your daughter's, it sounds like she's still interested in recreation or athletic type things. For you and Clark, was that something when you first met, you both had strong interests, so it's just developed that way, or?
It's funny that you say that because you don't know the origin story. But
Okay.
we actually met in a gym during the summer. We were gym supervisors for Parks and Recreation and did late night gym activities for high school, college students. So yeah, the fact that we met in a gym, he was athlete in his day. I played volleyball, basketball, and ran track as well. And so, yeah, it's in our blood and kids. And if our children didn't want to be in sports, that would have been fine too. But even our kids growing up, they saw their dad coaching football, basketball, baseball, and being involved in summer. So that was just their life as well.
Yeah, for sure. And there's probably a little bit of genetics in it, right?
And that's funny.
If you guys had been drawn to that, like they're probably drawn to that, the way your mind works or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Sports is in everything that we do. Our text threads every day have something to do with some kind of athletic event that we're all watching on TV. And Saturdays watching college football, or Sundays in the NFL, or it's just going
is what
crazy.
it is.
Yeah.
Cool. So growing up, being very involved in sports and athletic type activities, is that kind of what drew you towards the rec career?
Absolutely. Actually, I came to college wanting to be a PE teacher.
Okay.
And through a few different things that changed education-wise at WSU and how they shifted PE teachers, and now it's with education and kinesiology, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do and met with the advisor and said, if you're interested in that, why don't you next semester take a sport management class and check out a recreation class? I took both of them the next semester. The sport management was at that time, to me, a little more business focused.
Right.
And recreation was like, oh my gosh, I can still do all the things I want to do and be involved. I could still be active. All I could see myself, funny that I say this 30 years later, when I chose a sport management class, is that I was going to be sitting at a desk all day, not involved in participants. And I just knew that's not what I wanted to do. So I went the recreation route and still obviously do business stuff with that. But that's the whole point of why I went into recreation. I'm involved with athletics, involved with participants, and being able to see them every day.
So you've pretty much been involved with the city of Pullman since graduating college then?
Yeah, with a short stint of a little over 1 year. I worked formally was the YMCA at WSU. I was the after school program director and the summer day camp director in 99, 2000-ish period. And I really did need that job. That was the opportunity that I needed to gain more supervisory experience, management, and then budget and program operations. And so then in 2000, my current position, but a recreation supervisor position came open, and I applied for that and got it. So yeah, in 2000, I started back with the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my dad was involved at that time, right? I mean, he
Yeah,
had left in 2000.
Yep.
Right?
So he and another former employee, Leanne, both decided to leave about the same time, and so created the recreation supervisor position and the recreation superintendent.
Okay.
So that was pretty big for the department at that time, of losing two
Yeah.
monumental staff that had been there for a while, with a lot of knowledge that went out the door with two newbies coming in. But yes, your dad was my boss when I was in college, and was definitely huge in being able to rejoin the city.
I feel like I've known you for a long time, but just from afar, because anytime I'm with my dad and we run into you and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But now I'm on the park board, so we get to see each other a little more often.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I love that you're on that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's really interesting to see. I'm out and about all the time with people showing houses and people coming into the community asking questions about things. But it's been really good for me to be a part of that, just to see how much Parks and Recreation offers for our city. I think it's one of the best portions of what our city does. What does day-to-day look like for you?
Day-to-day is different now in my recreation manager position. I switched to that 4 years ago. It will be in January. Prior to that, as recreation supervisor, it was totally different: youth sports and youth programs. Now, as recreation manager, I oversee the three arms of recreation specifically. So that's senior programs, recreation, and aquatic. So that allows me to oversee 8 full-time staff.
Okay.
So I'm not just focused in one area, but 8 staff that are responsible for their own program areas. So daily, a lot of it is checking in with them, making sure everything's going well. I also am essentially the facility manager of the Pullman Recreation Center. So that brings a whole host of other things. So coordinating facility availability, rentals, but also the maintenance of that. So if there are things wrong, I'm in communication with buildings teams and park staff and things like that. So every day is a lot of emails and a lot of people, but I also am still responsible for a whole host of my own recreation programs. So that's a lot of checking in on those instructors and rosters and registration and things like that.
Because how many total programs are offered?
I'll throw out a couple of different numbers. We just completed our PROS, Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan. And when we went through that and did a program analysis, we had in our system, over a course of a year-ish or time, 800 activities are listed in our system.
Wow.
That is broken down into 10 core program areas: active adult and senior citizens, adult athletics. We have youth programming, youth athletics, special events, our preschool program, enrichment and general recreation. We have wellness and or fitness classes. I'm sure I'm missing something in there, but all those programs are grouped into those 10 core areas.
So the PROS plan was, we had an outside group come in, analyze everything, see where strengths and weaknesses are, try to create goals. If you were to think about the biggest takeaways from that, because how long were they here? A year or something?
Basically, we kicked it off like the week before Leno Fest in 2024.
Yeah.
And just wrapped up this summer.
Yeah. So they were involved for a year, really looking into programs, everything Parks and Recreation's doing, also doing a legitimate survey of the public to try to get feedback. So I know it's a big question to ask, what were the big key takeaways, but what were the things that really stood out in your mind?
I think there's two or three big things, and I'll group them out. On the recreation side, really heavy focus on program analysis. And that's something we really needed. We needed an outside group to look at us and assess all of our programs. What is the life cycle of the program? Is it on the rise and is it popular, or is it diminishing and it needs to go away? We also looked at funding and trends. Are we providing programs that are what people actually want? That obviously gives you a pretty simple answer. If it's not what you want, there's going to be 0 registrations,
Right.
which also helps with the life cycle. So a lot of that focus, which will really help us going forward, decide what programs need to move forward. Also with that, is it an essential service and it's something that we need to cover as like a subsidy, that our community needs it and it should be at a low cost? Are things value added? They add value to our community. Those are usually not subsidized and they're what people really want and choose. An immediate idea is like a senior overnight trip. It's not essential in their day, but it's something they want to do to add value. Or programs that are in the middle, which I say is like youth sports. They're value added and people want them, but they're also essential to our area and our community. It's what gets people involved. So that's the program side. I would say on the other side was really facility and maintenance. Recreation and parks work hand in hand together. We can't provide youth sports and activities outside if we don't have parks and facilities to be able to offer those. So it really gave us an idea of what needs maintenance, what do we need to do, and how are we going to get there for funding, and what are some things that have been happening, deferred maintenance, that we need to move forward on to make them valuable for our community.
It was an intense amount of information, I felt like. And I know you guys spent a ton of time. I'm sure it's a relief to probably just be done with that.
It is a relief to be done. And now really the hard work comes from that. It's a lot of meetings and focus meetings with our staff of how we're going to move forward, how we're going to meet those goals, where do we want to go? And then also really identifying the funding to move forward. What does that look like and how can we turf our city playfields to reduce the wear and tear and maintenance? We're going to spend money up front to turf them, but that will reduce staff time and maintenance in the future. Another item that was really indicated out of that was the city of Pullman in general needs more field space. That's not a surprise to anybody. We don't have a whole lot of flat land around here. And we also, it was identified that we don't have any fields that we own that are true rectangles. All of our sports are played on outfields of baseball fields and softball fields. And that's like football and soccer and things like that. So we really want to be able to identify land where we can put rectangle fields. We can expand our programming. There's lacrosse groups in town that we really struggle being able to accommodate them. How can we make some fields that will accommodate all the users in the community?
There's obviously rectangle fields in the city, but nothing that the city owns or can just totally freely use and
Correct.
schedule. They have to work with WSU or work with the schools if they want to use that.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, and that's probably going to happen every 5 years. Is that right?
Yep.
That they do that.
Yeah, we were doing it in-house every 5 years. The document they provided to us is actually good for 10 years, but we will still need to review it and do updates every 5 years, which will go with city's comprehensive plan as well and our goals and priorities.
Yeah. It sounds like it's a good investment, and it also gives you opportunity for grants.
Absolutely. We need to have a 5-year plan to be eligible for state grants. And so being able to do that shows the state that we are staying in tune with what our community needs, our wants, and be able to do that. And actually from that, we've already applied for a few recent grants.
That's awesome.
That will be good.
Yeah. It's nice to get the community feedback to see maybe there's some thinking of you have an idea of what the community wants, but it helps to support that. Were there any surprises on the survey that people wanted this and didn't want this or something like that?
Of course, pickleball is at the top of the list. There's a huge contingency of players and that's still continuing to grow. Parks and trail development is still a huge one within the community. So I think we will continue to identify how to improve our current pass system and add to that. Of course, on there is always maintenance of aquatics and being able to address those concerns. So we will continue to look at that. I was trying to think of what else was on there. It identified farmers market, which is crazy. That's not necessarily something the city does, but that's good information to be able to share with our community organizations. That is a need that was identified on the community survey.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about the Aquatic Center. So there's going to be a change soon. What's the change going to be?
Yes, Pullman School District is selling the Aquatic Center to Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories. The city of Pullman will be ceasing operations of the Aquatic Center on December 31st, our last day open to the public will be on Sunday, December 28th. That is something totally new to us. My entire life with Pullman Parks and Recreation has had an aquatic center under our operations. So we look forward to partnering and working with Schweitzer Engineering on the transition. We've been busy doing that since early March of 2025. And as that wraps up, we look forward to supporting them. We will continue to operate rainy during the summer. So that arrangement will look a little bit different, but we'll be working with Schweitzer what that looks like in terms of programs and offerings to make sure that we're benefiting both.
There will still be programs offered like there have been, but the management, the maintenance, all of those types of things will be handled by SEL.
That is correct. They will take over all operations of and management, as you said, and maintenance and programming. They have yet to disclose what that specific programming is, but want to make sure the public knows that there will be all the same programs we've been offering, and those will continue. They'll continue to work with the school district on the swim teams, and they're also looking actually to expand hours and some programming within that.
And so they took on some of the city staff that had worked there before. So they have people with direct experience.
Yes, that was a wonderful opportunity. Schweitzer, from the very beginning, was interested in giving first opportunity to our current staff, not only our full-time staff, aquatic coordinator and assistant aquatic coordinator, but also instructors, lifeguards, swim instructors, wax instructors. Our 2 full-time staff have been hired by Schweitzer Engineering. They have been working since mid-November on what that looks like. They're also still working part-time for the city of Pullman, so they've been very busy doing that and continuing oversight of the facility and management of staff, which has been a blessing for me for that to happen.
It takes a huge burden off the city, right, for SEL to take this over. As much as it's probably a little bittersweet for you just because you've been involved with it for so long, the building was failing, right?
Definitely. Between the 2 entities, it's a lot. It's a costly building. It's costly to run an aquatic center, and it had been a strain for both entities to operate that for the last few years. That part of the business, yes, it does reduce that strain on the city budget. Likewise, it is bittersweet. It is sad that we will no longer be offering those specific programs to the public, but it will be a good transition.
I think SEL has proven to do the right thing, so I'm sure it'll work out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that we've talked about at Park Board some of these programs that are offered. Some of them maybe people wouldn't know about or think that you guys would offer, and some have been more popular than you might have initially thought they would be. Talk about those a little bit.
We have a whole host of programs. Yeah, definitely. Our most popular ones, youth sports, adult athletics. Our preschool program has been under the leadership of Miss Jean for 30 plus years. She has a well-standing tradition and reputation in the community with that. A lot of other individual activities that we have that have come to light recently, like I think of some baking classes, and we just restarted karate, which we used to have martial arts for a long time and got rid of that when instructors moved away. And so we just recently brought that back. That has been wildly popular under our new instructor as well. So yeah, we ebb and flow with our programs. Different guides offer different programs based on the season and what people want. So we try to really manage and see what that looks like for the season.
We have a really strong senior center and senior programming. Talk a little bit about what some of the older folks can get involved in.
We have, under our new senior center coordinator, she's been in the position about 4 years. She has really created a robust program of offering programs that are accessible for all and creating equitable access. So we have lots of local trips that will take people to dinner, get them out of their house to have a social environment, checking out local restaurants. Actually, one of the most popular is thrifting. She takes seniors out to local thrift stores with lunch for them to find purchases that some of them may not have access to transportation to be able to do that, or some want to just leave the driving to Lundy. We have a lot of overnight trips. We have things or in the past, to Pendleton and Hood River. Just gone to Mount Vernon and Tulip Festival. I think there might be a trip to Hood Canal. We've gone a lot of different places, so those are really big as well.
Yeah.
And the daily activities of card games, movie matinees, Wii bowling, bingo, whether it's sponsored by Bishop Place or Regency, those are all really popular as well.
And the senior lunches are super popular as well, right?
They are. We have been a partner with Council on Aging and Human Services for 30 plus years, offering meals at our senior center on Tuesdays and Fridays, and they call them a congregate meal site. As many may know or may not know, recently Council on Aging has put a pause on their contract providing those meals, not only in Pullman, but also at other sites in the county, Colfax, Palouse, and Uniontown. And so actually Friday, December 5th was our last congregate meal site that was provided under the contract with COA. We are currently working with Aging and Long-Term Care of Eastern Washington for them to find a new provider of the contract to bring those meals back. And hopefully that continues soon. In the meantime, we have found a local funder with United Way, and they're going to be funding that gap of time, I guess I should say, and food and money for the month of December and potentially up to a couple more months while that contract gets figured out. And that's a really important part of our senior center. We're serving like 50 plus people every Tuesday and Friday as not only a way to provide a lunch at a reduced cost, but also to provide a social interaction and reduce social isolation in their homes. And so it's a really important thing that we need to get back into our senior center.
Yeah, and it probably leads into some of the seniors doing some of the other activities that are offered.
Absolutely. That was one of the very first things that our Lendy and I had a conversation. It was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We need to keep these seniors active. We need to keep them fed in a time where there's food insecurity, but also have them be participating in the programs. That's an easy way for them to come in, be involved, sign up. And if they're not coming in and we're not providing that, how can we still reach them?
That's a tough thing to figure out, but hopefully that gets sorted. Those can continue. What do you think the biggest challenges to your department are after having the pros come review everything? What were the things that you felt like, okay, we know we can do this. We know we need a plan to overcome this problem, but it's going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, I think staff and funding are the two biggest things. We know what we want to do, as you said, and what the goals are. Our department is fairly small with now losing 2 full-time aquatic employees. We are now a department of 6 that produces essentially 64 pages of amazingness for the community. And that's a lot that our current staff take on, where especially 2 of them, our preschool programmer and our senior coordinator, also provide a lot of direct service and program time. So that doesn't leave a lot of other staff to be able to work the rest of the programs and offer them and work with instructors and facilities and rentals and things like that. So staffing is a huge one. It would be amazing if we could add another recreation supervisor to our mix to be able to help loosen that load. And then I think the other thing is really funding, being able to put that funding in place to be able to make those changes, like to say facilities and the turf, and or creating another outdoor recreation facility that has fields to be able to serve the greater community. So those are the 2 uphill battles that we need to face, but hopefully in the future we can find funding mechanisms, whether that's grants, upcoming bonds, things like that.
Yeah. And are grants huge? Is that really where you're looking to get some of the funding for those big projects?
Grants are definitely big. There's a couple of different organizations within the state that provide funding. A lot of those do come with a match of some sort. So that also will just be something that we'll have to look at. And if that money's coming from our capital improvement program, or we do need to do some fundraising, that piece will definitely have to be a part of that match.
So I think some people are just a little bit clueless as far as these programs that are offered, right? Maybe someone comes to town, they're new. Maybe someone hasn't had kids, so they haven't been involved in youth sports and that type of thing. And then they realize how much more is offered for adults and that type of thing. How can people find out about the activities that are offered?
Yeah, a few different ways. Obviously, our website, PullmanParksandRec.com. We have our online guide there that they can check out and scroll through the enrichment section, wellness, adult section, and then senior and active adults. I also encourage people to come see us at the Pullman Recreation Center, 190 Southeast Crestview Street, Building B, and just come into our building and check it out. Something new, we've been there almost 5 years, that was different than our previous location is that we have a full-size gym there in our facility, as well as a walking track. And I think it's mind-blowing for people when they do walk in. They don't realize that's what's inside. And
Yeah.
when they first walk through the doors, you can see that. And then they're like, oh my gosh, how do I get involved? What can I do? What are the hours? How can I get
Yeah.
here? And I think our staff are really good about, if people come, meet with them, show them the guide, we'll explain what all we have, what are ways they can get involved, show them the walking track so they can walk in a climate controlled environment, the open gym, whether it's in the morning, the noon hour for pickleball, adult basketball, the evening open gym hours if they're active in that. And then also we can give them a tour of our spaces, whether it's the senior center, our 2 different fitness rooms that have wellness classes. We don't have a fitness room with fitness equipment, but we do provide a lot of classes and a lot of yoga and some sail and ageless function. And we also work with a few other local contractors that provide classes that are in our recreation center too. So we help them out as well.
And they can be really affordable, right? If you're talking these yoga classes compared to maybe somewhere else that's offering yoga classes, it's a fraction of the cost, right?
It is very reasonable. In fact, we have 2 senior yoga classes that are free to the public. And those are offered 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Fridays. We have 2 times for people to choose from. We have another, it's called Ageless Function class that is also free to the community.
Okay.
And then some of our other classes are very affordable, just a few dollars per class. And some of them people can just pay a drop-in fee to participate.
I think the website is a great resource too. Not that people won't come in and visit you guys. I think a lot of people are a little bit hesitant to do something like that, but they can find everything online, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have our open gym schedules and wellness and activity and class schedules on our online guide.
And they can sign up and do the whole thing right there and then just show up for the class.
Yep, you can create an account online. It's super easy. We actually have step-by-step how to do that. You can call us. We can create that account for you online if you don't want to do that. Or you can come in as well, and our staff will do it in person for you. You can sign up for classes online, over the phone, or come in and do it in person. We try to be able to provide a way to meet everyone's needs in that way.
Going back again to some of the big goals from the pros plan, what are your top priorities as far as even just personally you would like to see done in the next few years?
Yeah, I think right now, a big one that kind of leads into staffing and then our facility is we are operating our facility now at almost 7 days a week with programs and rentals. And I think what I'd like to get to is actually having our facility open 7 days a week. That's open to the public. Right now, we don't have open hours on Saturday or Sunday. It's only for those programs or those rentals that we have. Would like to be open Saturdays and Sundays for the open gyms, the walking track, add some fitness classes that are on Saturdays and Sundays that don't meet traditional Monday through Friday schedules for people, as well as we're really busy with rentals in our space. And so really making that an opportunity for the community that, hey, we do have space for you to meet your needs, be able to enhance that as well.
So when you're talking rentals, you're saying that someone can rent a space, right?
Correct. We have meeting rooms, our gym, whether it could be a large scale event on the gym floor, or you can rent the gym for a youth basketball practice, volleyball, Special Olympics rents it, local robotic group rents it as well. We have everything from memorial services to engagement parties to birthday parties to religious events that have taken place in our facility.
That's good to know. I don't know that a lot of people know that. I would have assumed that a lot of that would have been more like sport oriented, but it's community space that can be rented at an affordable price.
Yeah, we have picked up quite a few different organizations and groups with the closures of Gladish. We are renting space to a current yoga company that rents out space for her classes.
Okay.
We are working with American Legion, who are having meeting space at Gladish. So now they are meeting monthly in our space. We host the Moose organization twice a month, and some other local organizations have their routine meetings as well. So we do have meeting space. United Way is one as well that meets there.
Very cool. And what does meeting space run like per hour or per day or whatever?
Yeah, it just depends on the room. Each room is a little bit different because it has different capabilities and different size. Most of them are about $20 an hour. And with that includes access to TV monitor. So people are able to broadcast their meetings and or have people zoom in as well. And then we do have different amenities to add on to that. If somebody's having a meeting and they want coffee service, provide coffee with that, and other tables, chairs, different things, easels.
So if you had a magic wand and just like a pot full of money and could spend this money on one thing to help your department, what would it be?
I touched on it a little bit earlier about our huge dream goal is to create an outdoor athletic facility.
Okay.
And with that would be numerous additional baseball, softball, flag football, soccer fields, restrooms, park gazebos where people can rent that and have birthday parties. Maybe we throw in outdoor basketball courts. We would throw in pickleball courts, a playground.
Just
maybe
like
a
an
skate
outdoor
park.
sports complex.
Yeah, definitely. That is a dream. It's been a dream for a long time. We're short on land, short on funds, but that would be, I think, a really big ticket item to add to the value of the community, enhance our residents' experience, as well as being an economic draw to our community. That's definitely been a touch point and a focus point for the residents of Pullman and youth sports organizations, that we send a lot of youth sports organizations to other communities to participate in tournaments of some sort. And what would that look like if we could bring them here? We would have that facility. We could put heads in beds in hotels, drum up at economic development for our restaurants, our local businesses, bring people downtown, go shopping. That would be a really big draw. I think a lot of people are trying to put that plan together, but it's definitely going to take a lot of organizations to that work.
Yeah, it's going to take a ton of money.
Yep.
It would be a great investment, what you said, the draw. And I know a lot of times when there are people who are considering jobs here for the university or for SEL or any of these bigger employers, a lot of times they're offered a job and they might not take it. They might interview for the job, become a finalist, and then that's when they physically come to Pullman. And if they have families, those are the types of things they're looking for. So I think it could help draw some really great people to the area as well, knowing that's a benefit of living here.
Absolutely. We, in our office, really talk about parks, paths, pools, programs, playgrounds, and those are things that draw people to Pullman when they come to visit. What is it that we have to offer the community? And those are things that we really pride ourselves on, to be able to give our current residents as well as incoming residents those amenities.
So it sounds like we probably really need to get a bond put together in order to pay for something like the sports complex, right?
Yeah, our current bond will expire in 27. It was passed in 2017. With that is when we were able to purchase the recreation center, City Hall, as well as complete a lot of other projects for our facilities. So that is coming up in 27. We are actively exploring what that will look like moving forward. If we put another one out to the voters to do that with a lot of other projects on there, including the sports complex, we will continue to evaluate that and work with community organizations and fulfill those needs.
You talked about staffing struggles and things like that. Is there ever a problem with retention of staff? Or tell me a little bit about that. Do you have people that are really long-term?
Our team of 8, including then another 10 or so that are on the park side, generally everyone is here for life.
That's
You
good.
just say until you die or you retire. I hate to say that. About 4 years ago, we had a huge changeover in staff. We actually had 3 people retire from our department.
Wow.
So that created a shifting in moving our then recreation manager to the park side, myself moving from rec supervisor to rec manager, a new rec supervisor, and also a new senior coordinator, myself and Parks and Facilities Director Kurt Damon and Jean Druffel, our preschool programmer, are the longest standing people in our department right now, with 25 to 30 years. Generally, most people, when they come to our department, stay. It is definitely under the part-time realm that we do have a lot of transition. We live in a transient community.
Yeah.
We work with a lot of students between the ages of 15 and 25 that are here potentially for a short period of time, as well as like high school students. So those can be transient and change over. And that really just depends on every season and their school schedules and work schedules and how that adjusts. So I feel like our department is used to that, and it's just completely cyclical, or we're just hiring all the time. It's nonstop. We always have
Yeah.
openings to be able to backfill and navigate those situations when we are short staffed. But really also, we have a current part-time employee that just started this fall, who
Okay.
also is a substitute teacher with Pullman School. And he was just sharing a story the other day of that his two roles with the school district and us are now overlapping. So he's seeing our program participants in the schools, or likewise, the schools they're coming in the rec center. And he just said that just makes his job at the city so much better because he's really integrated into the community now. And I think that really ends up happening a lot with our staff. Once they get involved in the community, they want to stay.
That's awesome. One thing I thought that was really cool when I joined Park Board and have kind of learned a little bit about is the opportunities for low-income families and youth sports and things like that. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have a scholarship opportunity. It's called Care to Share. We actually not only serve youth between the ages of 0 and 17, but we also have a fund for seniors as well. It's an opportunity for families to get assistance to be able to participate in youth sports, babysitting. It can be preschool, it can be summer day camps, it can be any activity. And we just recently expanded that amount. So families now can participate and get scholarships 3 times a year for a maximum of $300, where families now are only paying 25% of the fee. Previously,
Nice.
it was 50%. And now the scholarship program is covering 75% and the families are 25. We really want to make sure that we are providing equitable access for all families and reducing barriers to families to be able to participate. So if someone that's interested or has a need, please definitely contact us and we can get them the help that they need to be able to participate.
And really easy. You guys aren't trying to like interview them and make this a burden to get the help. It's like, if you can reach out and say, hey, I need help, you guys are going to figure out how to make it happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the, say, documentation or things that we need to show your assistance that's needed, those families are already providing. We just are asking that you check the box that you get it, and we'll help you out.
So outside of probably one of the busiest jobs in the area, what do you do for fun?
When I am not working, I love to be outside. I love to garden. I used to run. I run a lot of marathons. I don't run anymore, but I walk. I have taken up spin classes, so I go to spin twice a week, super early in the morning. My family has a boat, so we do lots of boating in the summer on the Snake River. And we recently bought a trailer, so we do lots of camping as well.
Nice.
For my entire life, I raised my kids in tents, and they're like, seriously?
Yeah.
Now that we're grown up and out of the house, you bought a trailer for yourself? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can stay in it too.
Yeah.
So we love
Great.
to camp. Almost every weekend in the summer, we are definitely not home. We are out doing something.
Yeah. And so that probably led into a little bit of your son getting into forestry stuff, right?
Yeah, loves to be outside. He is a fisherman at heart. So anytime we're out on the river camping, he's always fishing as well. He worked for a farmer in high school and college. And so outdoors is in his wheelhouse. Yeah.
Very cool. Since you didn't grow up in the area, but you guys have decided to settle here, what are some of the things that made you stay, that made you feel like this is a great area to raise kids and be?
A couple of things. I think both Clark and I found families in our work environments. So City of Pullman and his being a teacher in his school has been amazing. We don't have family here, so our friends at work and close social circle really made family be. And then this sounds so cliche, but being able to, whether you're at the grocery store, I'm at work in a program or somewhere else, WSU football game or at Zeppo's or somewhere out eating, being able to see friends and family, or you're recognized from the work you do, really does create a family environment away from the family. And so I used to say, I still do say it, that The day that I move from this area and drive a U-Haul out of town, that I
Yeah.
would need to take something
Yeah.
to calm my nerves, because
Yeah.
it definitely would be a sad day to move. It is my life. I've lived here longer
Yeah.
than I grew up with my
Yeah.
family. And it's weird for me to say when I go back home, when that's not even really true. It's not my
Yeah.
home. This
Yeah.
is my home. It's the only home my kids know. And so that's weird for them as well when I say, oh, where my parents live, and they're like, wait, this is our home. This is
Yeah.
it. So
I think that there are other people in your same boat. We don't get a ton of alumni, I would say, that stay, because so many of them come from somewhere else. It is hard to think about relocating, especially if families on the other side of the state or something. But I've definitely seen a trend of people who have even moved back after college to the west side that are thinking, like, this would be a really great place to raise a family.
absolutely. I think the opportunity that the city itself provides, as well as having a university town, the amenities that WSU provides our residents as well, is a really great draw for families. And it's one to cherish. We're all definitely spoiled.
Thanks for coming in, Megan. It was great to talk to you and great to learn about everything that parks and recreation that the city has to offer.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me.
This has been the Pullman, Moscow, and Beyond podcast with Jordan Vorderbruggen, a podcast where we get to know interesting people here on the Palouse. This week's episode was hosted at the beautiful property Jordan has listed for sale, 1325 Southwest Panorama Drive in lovely Pullman, Washington. If you'd like to check out that property, visit panorama.pullmanmoscow.com. You can find new episodes of the Pullman, Moscow, and Beyond with Jordan Vorderbruggen podcast at pullmanmoscow.com/podcast or wherever podcasts are found.